Hey Melissa, nice job here. So yeah, I really like your caricature. I would probably make a few little refinements to it. I think I've mentioned this before. I would really look at the way this joins, and I'd add a little shadow around here. And you could also soften it up by using a feather or erasing it a little bit. So you can erase in the mask with opacity on the eraser. Then this will kind of blend in a little bit more. That's one suggestion. The other suggestion, well, or question really, is I'm just wondering what the grass has to do with the subject matter. It looks a little bit like a juxtaposition, which means that you're finding the caricature someplace where you normally wouldn't find it. And if there was a reason for it, I think it would be like great, but I'm not seeing a clear reason for it. So you might want to look for a background that fits this more, even like a tabletop or something. Or you can do something with an Asian theme, like even something like a Japanese room. Something like this has a lot of negative space too that could kind of fit in, or you could put it in. I know this kind of sounds cliche, but you could put it in, like one of the gardens, because that would look really cool. Something like this, it would look pretty cool in it, I think. And if you put it, so it blocked some of that out, it would probably have enough negative space to make it really stand out. Something like this even, because you can see this has a lot of negative space. It would probably stand out kind of nicely. Or you can just do something like, I don't know, dining room. I don't know what that's going to come up with. So anyway, you know what I'm saying. It's just it's hard, or you could use something like a tabletop like that, or any kind of tabletop, because it has a lot of negative space. That would also allow it to kind of feel like it's more in the environment. I don't know, do something really, really cliche and say Japanese restaurant. Yeah, see, these are going to be pretty busy. You might be able to find one with a simple enough. Maybe something like that. But you know what I'm saying? It's like I think the grass looks cool, but I really don't think it fits in with the caricature. Another idea that you may want to consider is using the orientation of 8x10 that way. So let me see. First I have to move this over. Where's your text? Because it's going to cut. I'm just going to move this over like really funky. Whoops. And I'm just going to show you, because this is not going to be the right size, obviously. So if let's say you used more of an 8x10, which is kind of this orientation, right? That's probably somewhat around the proportions of 8x10. Oh, I can't do it because of the Smart Object. Shoot, I hate when it does that. Okay. Sorry, I just had to rasterize your layer so I could do this. So it would kind of be like these proportions. So I think it would really work a lot better to make your caricature stand out too, because your caricature looks kind of small in the other way. You might have to make it then a little bit smaller, or not smaller actually. You'd keep it the same size because you'd have to just change your background. I'm just trying to do this to kind of show you, and then you can it's Photoshop. Then you can move the caricature around, something like this, and then you could fit the text over in here someplace. But again, the text needs to stand out a little bit more. But again, with this background, it's just hard to gauge. I really wouldn't use the background though, just because it doesn't really fit the caricature. You could also just do, put a bunch of noodles in the background or something. It just has to be somewhat food related. It could be even like a picnic table or something like that. And some strategies to, to get the text to stand out is to think about adding some layer styles. So you could add something like, like a little bit of an outer glow. But I don't really like that, but you can see you can really adjust these a lot. They're really fun to use. And then, you can get it kind of looking I mean, you can make it really small or bigger, and then you can lower, you know, if you want, you can really lower the opacity and just make it kind of just, you know, a little bit. I'm going to just turn it down here. But again, you can see just with this how much more it stands out than just on the grass texture. Okay, so yeah, I don't, you know, other than that, I love how this came through. That looks great. Other than that, maybe I was thinking to maybe make this a little bit bigger, but I really don't think it's necessary. You know, you could add if you wanted to. I mean, you could see what, you know, adding a layer, one of those layer styles to one of the eyes. And I'm not saying to add this yellow thing at all. I'd probably add just like a white one, like the color of the egg, sort of. And then you can kind of make it really dim. You know, something just a little, just so it stands out a little bit more. I mean, you could use another color if you wanted to, like a really light yellow or something. You know, or you could even use like a red if you wanted to. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. But it could, oh, it didn't, no, it didn't. I mean, that kind of looks cool too. You can't really see it much, but it kind of just adds a little bit of a, let's see, kind of like that one. It just adds a little bit of a difference to the, you know what I'm saying? It adds a little bit, but it doesn't really stand out that much. But it does add just a little bit of an emphasis to this part. Another thing you could do too is look at, I mean, you've got where the bowl is. Look at maybe bringing out some of these areas with a layer mask of an adjustment layer, I mean. And again, just look at the one. I'm just looking at the bowl now. You don't want to go too far though, right? Because it'll just really look funky. So something maybe like that, and let's see if we turn it off. I have to clip it though because it's affecting all the other stuff underneath it too. Let's see, turn it back on, and then I'll clip it. And again, you can kind of see if you like it or not. You can just turn it right off if you don't like it. I think another clipping mask, another adjustment layer could be used on the noodles too, just because I think that, you know, just if they stand it out a little bit more. And you have to be careful because it's so easy to overdo this stuff. You know, or maybe you want them kind of dark on one side. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna, let's see. Yeah, I don't know if that does anything, but again, you just turn it off, you know, if you don't like it. Yeah, it brings it out a little bit. You can see that, right? So you might want to do it to some of these other ones too then. I mean, because some levels really does, you probably can't see what I'm doing here, huh? I'm just doing the levels down here. And now I'm looking at just that noodle in the front. And I'm just sliding these around to see what I can do with it to bring it out a little bit so it doesn't look so flat. So let's just see. And again, it's just right there. Clipping mask. And now we can just see if it makes any difference. It brings it out a little bit, you know, so you might want to think of doing that. You know, you could also do a hue and saturation on it too to see, like, again, just look at this thing because I'll clip it. You can see it's affecting everything under it. I mean, you might like it on, you know, the beans, on the edamame. So, and again, I'm just going to clip it because I just want it to affect what's underneath it. Let's see. So it does make a little bit of a difference. So you might want to do some of these adjustments because I really think the one with the bowl, I think that really brings it out a lot nicer. And you might want to just try it, you know, for some of the other ones. Let's see. I mean, you might want to try it at the top to most of them, and then again, just see what it looks like. And you kind of just really have to look at the objects because I'm gonna clip it. So well, so even if I don't clip it, now this is affecting everything underneath it, but it kind of looks cool, right? So anyway, I won't babble on anymore, but I would look for another background, and I would do a little bit more with the text, and I would add some adjustment layers, and I would change the background. But you don't have to do this all this week. So for this week, it's pretty much the background and doing a little bit more with the type. Okay, so yeah, and I mean before you put it in the Dropbox on Sunday, because because there will be a few lost points for that. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions, and grab me on Google Hangouts or whatever. But anyway, I think it looks really cool. Okay.